Welcome to the S.E.M podcast. I'm Zack Hewlett. We got the ghost of the S.E.M podcast, Bryce. His camera is having some technical difficulties tonight. And we're joined today by Brandyn King. Brandyn, how are you, man?
Doing good. How are you been?
Doing really well, man. All right, so just to kind of give you a little bit of the format as far as how we usually do this. So we tend to tell the story of, your lead up to getting your mission call. And then we'll skip over the mission and talk about life from Scotland to now. And then we'll go back and go through areas, companions, and any fun memories that you have. So the floor is yours, and we're here to listen. We're excited to hear what you have to say, Brandyn. Sorry, go ahead.
What was the start? I guess I totally forgot already.
just talk about your lead up to getting your mission call, and tell us a little bit more about if you were expecting to go to Scotland or what your thought process was in regards to starting a mission.
All right. Okay. So the lead up to the mission call was, for me, was very difficult. I felt like I had a lot of opposition leading up to my mission call. It just seems like the world was against me at that point. I don't know. And to me, I feel like it was probably the right reason to go on a mission because of that, because of all the opposition I was facing with family, friends, just everyday, day-to-day stuff. So, but as far as expecting to go to Scotland, that kind of surprised me in general. And at the same time, I was overly excited and enjoyed by that. I couldn't have asked for a better mission to go to. I was really hoping not to go stateside, but I was excited for the mission call I got, and I think it was a blessing. So, but yeah, everything was great leading up to, after I got the mission call. I was excited to find out that I was going to the MTC in England, which I had no clue would even existed at that point in time. I just thought everyone went through a program. And right. So to go to the MTC in England was another surprise in itself. When I remember sitting there reading my mission call with my was there and reading that I was going to Edinburgh, Scotland, and that I'd be joining the MTC in England. It was just a kind of a overwhelming shock.
Yeah.
And then probably like everybody else, you hurry and bust out the map after and see exactly where those places are.
Yeah.
And
100%.
And I think even at the time, this is in the early stages of the internet in a way. It's not like it is now, like as we're doing podcasts. It was very I don't know, in its early stages, very adolescent, you could say, internet. And so I was able, I think at the time, to pull up a live camera feed. I think it was Dundee Town Center. And I just like, oh, that's interesting. But and was able to, I think, pull up a few images of Edinburgh as well. and just to see the castle and the Scots Monument and stuff, and just to think, oh, this is where I'm going to be going for 2 years, and just I don't know, just feeling excitement and an overwhelming experience just came in. But it was great.
That's cool.
So where are you from, Brandon?
I am from Smithfield, Utah. Originally, right now I live in Idaho, in Franklin. It's probably about, I think exactly like 14 miles from Smithfield. So just north of Smithfield, barely into Idaho, really.
He's holding down the border in case the Utahns attack.
Right?
So you were in Smithfield when you got your mission call, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, I was in Smithfield at the time. I actually tried to hurry home from work that day to get the call before anyone else did out of the mailbox. And, I guess my dad had taken it and hid it away, so I couldn't open it by myself because I would have. I wasn't going to wait for anyone.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that because we both had the same mindset. It was like, this is for me. This is special. Why do I have to share with everybody? You know?
Yeah.
So
it's my call. So anyone else's.
that's exactly right. So take us post mission now. So you've served in Scotland. You came home, and just catch us up to now. What have you been up to? And love to hear about it.
What have I been up to? So post mission, I came home and fell into the singles ward scene, which is how do I want to put that? Just I don't know, not for me. We'll just say that. But I fell into that because that's what my friends wanted to go do. It was fun. It was fun. It just wasn't my thing, but it was still good to go and be around people my age. But I came home, and after a few months of being home, I signed up for summer sales, and I went and I did that for the next 3 years, over 3 years, all over the United States. And we lived in Philadelphia, lived in Louisville, Kentucky, lived in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas. But we worked in those areas. I know we worked in Indiana and New Jersey, as well as Delaware. So I don't know, it took me all over the United States, so it was a good experience. But since then, I decided I was going to school at the same time I did the summer sales. I went to Utah State University and did school while I did that, and then after summer sales, I stayed home that last summer, and I got a job where my father works at Paragon Medical, and that's where I currently am now. So I've been there almost 12 years.
Nice.
And yeah, it's been good. In that mix, I met my wife at Paragon. She worked there. She started about 5 years after I had been there, and we met and started dating and whatnot, and then eventually we got married. Then and then in the last year we have our first child. So
that's amazing. So you've been married for how many years then?
Let's see, it'll be 6 in November. So 6 years in November, I've been married.
And your little one's a year old, you said?
Yeah, she's 15 months.
15 months. That's the fun time. She running around and you're chasing her everywhere?
Yeah. She's she's learned to walk in the last about 3 months and 3 to 4 months, and she's a mile a minute and gets into everything.
Not old enough to go to nursery, but needs to go to nursery.
Right. For sure.
Maybe we should put a call out to the church and say it's time to adjust the nursery age.
Right.
I mean,
Missionary age is down.
They've changed them all. I mean, come on, nursery age is next.
Yeah. I agree. Let's move that.
Well, good. And you've lived in Franklin then. What made you decide to move like north of the Utah border? Just better living situation living in Franklin?
Yeah, we housing was more affordable and more available just north of the border here in Idaho. I don't know, it's just since we've been here going on 4 years now. When we moved into here, it was just everyone was just buying up houses like crazy, and it just seems to get worse and worse, or better for if you're in that market, of course, like Zack is.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
But
very true.
It's a nice little town and good community. Not much here. There's things to do. We got to have a gas station or two, and that's about it. I think we have a Family Dollar, so that's it's about the highlight of the life here in Franklin.
Close enough to Casper's, though. You can go pick up seconds of Fat Boys and Casco bars.
Oh yeah. Casper's and Pepperidge Farm are nearby, and we're not too far from Logan. We're I think it's about 20 miles maybe. So it's not terrible. It's been good. But yeah, life since the mission, it's been good. Lots of things I've been able to do. I've traveled extensively and went to a lot of places, and I think that came after the mission. It was just kind of a I don't know, a spark of interest to just get out and see more of the world and see what it's like and that. And I don't know, I think everything that's good that's happened in my life has been because of the mission.
That's awesome. I can say you're welcome because you'll talk about me in just a minute.
Except for that.
All right, so jeez. All right, so let's start MTC. Just your experience there, and then get into Scotland, and then just run through it and tell us a little bit more about where you served, who you served with, and.
All right. Hopefully, I can remember everybody's names correctly. So let's see. Hopping on the plane and heading straight to England I was so excited. I don't think I rested at all on the flight. And I remember in Manchester and just being ecstatic. And we sat at the airport for quite a while because I think Patton forgot about us. But he showed up and took us to the MTC, and it was a whole different experience, and it was great. It was good. It was I think my first companion was Elder Smith, and for the MTC, and he actually went to Scotland as well, Garrett Smith, and so I was with him for a minute, and then I had another companion, and then I want to say Elder Allred, but I might be wrong there. And he went to Ireland. I remember that, which it's strange to think that our mission is combined with that now.
Yeah, it really is. Now, tell us again. This is what time frame? When did you get to the MTC month and year?
Oh, okay. So I left October 25th. I actually have my mission card right here in front of me. And yeah, so I left October 25th, and I arrived at the MTC, I think, on the 26th in 2005.
Okay, cool. All right, so
And,
now you're through the MTC, and where'd you start? Where was your greenie area?
So I served in my first area. So I was paired up with Elder Cameron McDonald, and we opened up a new area of Livingston 2. So the area that shared with us was Livingston 1, and they were, I believe his name was Elder Clausen or Crawford, I can't, but he was with Elder Cowhunting. So it was a 4-man area, but we shared an apartment for a minute until the mission got our apartment squared away. But yeah, the first area was there in Livingston. So just right there in that industrial belt.
Yeah.
And I was with Elder Cameron or Cameron McDonald was my trainer.
Okay. And how long were you with Cameron?
So I was with Elder Cameron McDonald for. So this is where, and I don't know if you want to edit this. He moved to take care of a situation with my second wood. So, yeah. So I think I was with Elder McDonald for about 8 weeks, 8 to 9 weeks, and then I was with Elder Wood for the rest of that move. Actually, it's about another 8, 9 weeks. The moves were every 6 weeks, if I remember right. Every 6 weeks, you had a chance of moving. So
yep,
yeah. So I know when we got our move call, me and Cameron stayed, and then in between the next one, I was paired up with Wood and Elder Wood, and he stayed with me to the end of that move and into the next one. And then I was I don't know if you want to say bull to serve with Elder Hewlett and our growth.
Jeez.
Was it blessed?
Of course, I was blessed. I mean, it took some time before we figured it out, but I mentioned
overjoyed,
it
right?
I mentioned it on my episode and I was very forthright that I was told very specifically to help shepherd Elder King into being a great missionary by President Vriens. So I was just doing what I was told, and apparently I scratched the dog on the wrong side of the rear end. So we have fun together. I mean, ultimately it took a few weeks, and yeah, I mean, you had a blast, and I was always ticked off at you having too much fun, but that was my own problems, not yours. And even though I thought it was your problem, so we figured it out.
No, it was good. It was really good. Our growth was a great area. I really liked our growth. I liked Livingston as well. I don't think I had a bad area. and our growth was great. So me and you were together for, was it just 6 weeks?
No, we had 2 transfers together.
2 transfers. Okay. Okay. So we were together for 3 months. So you were biding your time. I was loving it.
I had to grit my teeth a little bit, but yes, we got there.
No,
Jeez.
I think the funniest thing that I remember was the day you passed your driving test and you said you're not driving anymore. And that was great. It was because I was, of course, new to driving in the UK and in Scotland there, so I was not familiar with it. And I remember we go up to that I guess testing center, and quite a few times, so you could go and do some practice tests, I guess, with one of the administrators or something, and and I think that's I do remember when you passed it. It was you're pretty happy, so then you didn't have to deal with my driving.
Well, let's be straightforward. So when it came to driving, at that point in my mission, I had been in a car for every transfer apart from 6 weeks. And so for me, I had driven, like Jack can attest to it. We were probably a week and a half in before Jack hit his year mark, and he threw the keys at me. He said, "You're driving." And I went, "You got to be kidding me." But from then on, I had always been the driver. And so I felt much more comfortable being able to have my own life in my own hands. And I had to get used to that after, having to relinquish the keys for, I don't know, it was at least a couple of transfers. It had to have been. So
all I heard was Zack wasn't willing to give you the same grace that I gave him.
Yeah. he definitely coveted those keys. But no, it was I get where he's coming from though. It's it's especially when you got somebody like myself at the time, I had not been in a car yet. And so I was new to the whole experience of driving wrong side car, wrong side of the road, everything, just that backward situation. So it was different, but and even to this day, the other thing I do remember about Zack, and I will always remember this, and it will make me laugh, is how he would always dance in front of the fridge while he ate.
All right, you have to jog my memory. I don't remember that.
You'd be standing in front of the fridge with the door open, eating something and kind of singing to yourself, dancing. And it was always funny.
It was clearly my happy place.
Yeah.
It's just it's a fat kid mentality, Sometimes you just got to be in front of the fridge. You can't wait for the plate. You got to just eat it.
Right. I get being a fat kid myself. I get it. It's great.
Oh my god!
Especially with some of the good food that they had in Scotland. Definitely had some good stuff, but
yes, indeed.
So, but it was our growth was a good place. I remember, Hewlett introducing me to the Petrie family, and introducing me to. There were some investigators of ours. I think was it Barbara? She was less active, or used to be a member. I can't remember the details of it.
Barbara, you're right, and she lived with David Petrie, who we had
David
basically inherited from the sisters when we got there.
Yeah. And I think we started teaching Robert, which is David's brother, and then Rebecca was their daughter, David and Barbara.
Yeah. Good memory. I'd
So,
forgotten about David's brother, and I couldn't remember their daughter's name.
Oh yeah, I'm actually still friends with Rebecca on social media.
Oh, nice. How's she
So,
doing?
Um, she seems to be doing well. I don't keep a whole lot with her, but I know she went into hairstyling and stuff, but she seems to be doing pretty good for herself. I have not
That's great.
made any contact with the others, but or even heard from them.
Mhm.
But yeah, but the Arbroath Ward was good. Trying to think of some of the members that stuck out. I remember that we went to Sunday dinner quite a bit with Stronix, I
Yep.
would say. And let's see. I can't remember who taught with us. I know it was Neil's dad. Pretty sure it was Neil Crawford. His dad taught
Brother
with us.
Crawford. Brother Crawford.
Yeah, and I can't remember his first name, but yeah, it was. I remember his. The guy, great guy.
Agreed. He was a very good one.
Yeah. And I'm kind of vague on. It's been, what are we going on? 15 years, 17 years since somewhere around. So it's kind of getting foggy, but
yeah, we had amazing experiences with like the Henderson family, Martin and his wife and the twins, and
right.
The Jamesons were awesome. Michael was younger than us, and then Murray is the older one that's older than that I interacted with anyway. And then we had the Farker family. We had Leah and Callum that were in young men's and young women's, and Leah was always someone that I was really, really impressed with because we'd show up and I don't know, she was probably 13, 14 years old at the time, and she's up there playing the organ for the congregation. I was like, there's no way I was doing that. No matter how talented I was, that was not me.
Yeah.
But she did an amazing job as contributing to the ward each week. So I was very impressed with her.
Yeah. I do remember now you mentioned names. I do remember the Hendersons and the twins, Parker family, and there was the Curves. They were there as well.
You're right. We had a great ward.
Yeah, it was a really good ward. And I think Arbroath was the Montrose Ward was a really, really nice place. It was. I really enjoyed my time there. Because after you left, I was with Elder Jensen. And for some reason, I'm not recalling his first name. But he was, and I was with him for 6 weeks, and then I'd moved on to without Elder Jensen, I moved on to Inverness. For 3 months. With my first 6 weeks was with Elder Black. He was from Ireland, Northern Ireland. Make sure I don't mess that up. Northern Ireland, and then I had Elder Christofferson for 6 weeks.
Oh yeah,
and this is
two great missionaries.
And with Elder Christoph, they were. I think, and I would say that about every companion I had. I think they were all great. So, they're all good missionaries. Just like the rest of us, just trying to do our best. And that's the thing. It's, we're all different, and so it's our best is always different. But I think everybody was there for the most part to do the best they could do.
I agree. Absolutely true.
And it was, and me and Elder Jansen had some good times when in our growth. I'm going back to our growth for a second. And he was a good missionary. I was a little older than him as far as like mission time. So I guess I was the senior or whatever. But we did really some new people, and we're teaching quite a few people, and it was going pretty good. And then I got moved, and I think he did pretty well after that. But he was a good missionary. And then Elder Black was as well. He was a really good missionary. He worked hard, had a real drive for the mission, and we were Inverness is quite a different place. And the ward there, I guess it's a ward, and it was a great ward. And I'm sure if you haven't served there, you probably heard of some of the people that are in that ward that they're just quite the characters. Birdie Bubbles, and then there was Sister, I think Petrie, I think is her name, but I'm probably wrong there. She lived in Nairn. She was the nicest lady. She always fed us, but she never came, but she always fed us. But great ward. I remember one of the adolescents there. I think his name was I want to say, I don't think that's right. But it was always this ongoing thing that we'd call up and pretend that we were Ainsley Harriet, the chef, and he just loved it. The kid had he had a disability, but it was always a joy for him to hear the missionaries call up and just pretend that we were this star chef that he just loved and just idolized.
I think I remember that. I'm trying to remember his name. I'm trying to remember his name because I know I met him at one point, but I cannot remember that for the life of me.
Oh, yeah, I can't either. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere, but he was wheelchair bound and just a great kid. Just a really good kid. And me and Black, we worked pretty hard. And that was probably the worst place to be on bikes. Just this hilly, massive city. Just everywhere was a hill, I swear. And
yeah, I don't know how you did that, but bless you. My gosh.
Yeah, and then
plus the entire town seemed to be split in half with a giant river, and it's not like you could just go across any street to one side or the other. You had to go to the largest bridge to get there. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and there was you had to always go up to the bridge somewhere. You couldn't just cross where you needed to. You had to go all the way up the bridge, then come all the way back. And so bikes were just awful there. But we worked hard, and we had our little I don't know what you want, Chung's. I think it's Jimmy Chung's, that Chinese buffet. Because you could get all you could eat Chinese for £3, and I remember it was always great because I think that's the most we ever got to eat out of the week, because the sister that always fed us, that lived in there, and she always drop off food to us, and it wasn't real life sustaining. And our and our apartment was terrible. We had that we were there. We had that small, like dorm room refrigerator. That was,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
I
you barely
remember
fit
that.
like, yeah, you fit like 2 milks in it and I don't know, 2 other things, and it was full. You couldn't fit anything else in it, so you couldn't have
Yeah.
anything that was refrigerated. It was kind of a terrible apartment. But was it?
Well, you were spoiled coming from our broth to there because our broth's flat was easily one of the nicest in the mission.
Yeah, I agree. I remember finding out that they'd moved flat up to Montrose or somewhere, and I was like, oh, that's a shame because that really was a nice flat,
Yeah,
nice
it
view,
was.
nice flat. But and then
Yeah.
I think it was in Inverness. Then so I think it was when I got with Christopherson that you became the zone leader in that area.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, and we had that. You guys came over for, I guess, a district meeting or something the next morning. You and Elder Patton, and
Yeah.
we had that. I don't know what you want to call it, pillow fight or something, fruit fight. I remember tagging you in the
Oh
back
my
of that
gosh!
orange.
I completely forgot about that. Oh my gosh!
You
So
were like,
Jack, just to set the
"Wait."
table, so I blacked it out because you immediately were like, "You're not on my team. I'm out," and because I treated you like garbage in Montrose. So we walk into their flat. You have to go up the stairs, and it's basically like 2 sides of the stairs, like a living room, bedrooms on the other side, kitchen in the corner, and I don't know. I think I was like the last person to unload stuff out of the car, and Elder Patton's up there with Elder King, and you said you're with Christopherson at that
Christopherson
point,
at that time. Yeah,
and
and
you guys had
I don't know.
barricaded yourselves in a room behind a table, and you were throwing like rotten fruit at me, and I was like, "What in the heck is happening right now?" I completely forgot about that. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Clearly,
and
I
you
have
were like,
some emotional damage at that point.
you got some PTSD going on.
Yes, indeed.
You would, but it was hilarious. I don't know what started it, but we started, I don't know, just kind of goofing off with each other, throwing stuff at each other, and then I remember you made a mad dash through the hall from the living room into the other bedroom, and that's when I threw the orange from across the living room through the hall and tagged you square in your back, and that orange just exploded all over your back.
It did. I had like a permanent citrus stain. I think it was my garment top or something because I could not get it out for the rest of my mission. It was so bad.
For the rest of it. I think
Well,
you
let's
smelled
be
better
honest.
after.
Okay, so ultimately, I'd served around Elder Christopherson. I think when we were I was in Dunfermline and he was in maybe Cumbernauld or Kirkcaldy or one of the areas over there. And so I had served around him. And we were cordial, but I didn't know him, or nor was I like really good friends with him. Obviously, my experience with you, I had to make up some points or I was in trouble. And Elder Patton, for whatever reason, I don't think he liked me very much either. But to each their own. And so I honestly was not surprised. The 3 of you were like, "All right, cool. Let's just peg him." And so I guess I deserved it. We'll call that. We'll say that. Too funny. I'd completely forgotten about that. So thank you for bringing that back. I appreciate that.
It was
Oh
it was
gosh.
good. It was Inverness is it's a good ward that they have there. Really, really was like you would. It was always random at any time that you could be called on to speak or teach. Anytime you showed up to church, because the bishop always worked a ton, so he just ended up not being able to make it a lot. So I guess the ward was pretty much ran by the first counselor or something like that, or second. But it was always interesting because you never knew what happened. Sometimes you'd come to in church and you'd have 20 people show up, and then another time you'd have tourists from the States, and you'd have 4 times the people that you had the week before. There'd just be a busload of people that would show up and just come in and speak that day. And it was always interesting because the first counselor, he had no regrets asking anyone to speak. Just if you're a visitor, you might as well just expected to speak that day in sacraments. So
yeah. Well, I remember
because
specifically that the building location was just unbelievable on the riverbank, and I think they've since torn that building down and rebuilt it, from what I understand. So, I mean, they had a huge lot. I think the parking lot was like, I don't know, it had to have been a 30 or 40 car lot that they could have fit cars in. And I remember pulling up in it and going, they're optimistic that we'll fill this lot, but I don't think they ever did. But from what I understand, the building that's there now is unbelievable. So that's a checklist item for when I get back in the future.
Yeah, it was definitely, the parking lot was bigger than the building, probably by 2 to 3 times. Small building,
Agreed.
but it was always a good time there. It was a good learning experience to just on the spot learning experience on talking and sacrament meeting and teaching a class. Just because the numbers to sustain didn't seem to be there all the time. But so It was good because I felt like I learned a lot there. And that would probably be the time that you also were right in taking the keys away from me, because I wrecked that car with me and Christopherson. So so you were justified, I think, in our growth. But,
I said no words when that happened. I promise. I just shook my head. I was like,
yeah,
of course.
yeah. And to this day, I still don't know how that happened, but it happened. Just and it's just hit a curb. And the thing is, the curb there is 16 inches tall. It's not the curbs here where they're 4 inches. So when you hit that curb going 35, you did damage. So,
jeez Louise.
But yeah, that was I mean, looking back at it, I laugh, but yeah, it was scary at the time, but Inverness was a good place. But after I left Inverness, I journeyed all the way down to Johnston, and so it'd be Paisley zone. So yeah, I went all the way down to Johnston, and so Inverness was I was only there for 3 months. So at that point, I was Livingston was 4.5 months. Our Montrose, our Broth area, was 4.5 months. Inverness was 3 months, and then Johnston was only 6 weeks. And me and Elder Barber got whitewashed in, so me and him were both new to the area, and we were there for 6 weeks, and then we got whitewashed out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was a tough area. Like we did not have any success. The investigators that we had were left with from the previous missionaries, they dropped us faster than we could think. And yeah, it just, I don't know, it just didn't really progress there. But the ward there is, ward's a really good ward. Great people. But we didn't really see a lot of success there, even though we tried. Flat was that flat was really cool too, but it was, yeah,
The
Johnson.
one over was it still the one over the garage?
Yeah, over that little shop and garage. It was
Yeah.
kind of just the weirdest spot. Like, I mean, it was just on this main highway, and there was no other buildings around besides this one white building with probably flats in it or something like that. One was a garage, and then there was one that was a little,
It was like
shop, and then there was our apartment.
Convenience store. Yep. So
Yeah,
I lived in that apartment because I served in I served in Johnston for 6 weeks, just like you. So I didn't know that. That's interesting to me.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you did either.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a brief stint, just like you. I was with Elder Ballack for 6 weeks, and then I got transferred to Orkney. So,
oh, okay.
But yeah, great ward. Not a lot of investigator opportunities there. It was just doing your work and hoping that none of the Paisley murder stuff came up the road towards you.
It was a different area, but the ward was really, really cool. It was kind of cookie cutter all over the place. But it was a good area. But after Johnston, let's see if I can remember right. I think, and I went to Falkirk next. So back into that industrial belt. And this was my longest area, was Falkirk. I was there for 6 months. In that branch. It was a branch. And my first 3 months I was with Elder Churko. And my second 3 months I was with Elder Snyder.
Dexter.
Yep, Dexter. Joshua Churko and Dexter Snyder. And Falkirk they got some really, really good people in that branch. And I was surprised it was a branch because I felt like they had the numbers better than Inverness did. But it was just a branch, but it was a good area, and lots of great experiences. There's a lot of good people there. The McCormicks. There was the two brothers, and I know the one passed away not too long ago, but there was a sister that fed us all the time, Mary. I think her McFeet or something like that.
Yeah. Every Sunday, right?
Yeah, every Sunday. Did you serve there, Jack?
I did. Yep.
Yeah. Wonderful woman. Just, she was such a nice lady. And I can't remember her friend that was always there too.
I don't remember her name either.
Because she always drove. McFeet. Was it McFeet?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Sister.
Yeah,
McFeet.
she always drove her to church, and I can't remember her name, but she was a really nice lady too. Bless her soul, she always made way more than she needed to. She, went above and beyond to feed the missionaries. And
I never ate so much in my life in a single sitting every Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 courses, top notch food.
Oh yeah, every Sunday, at least 5 courses. And I mean, and it was all homemade. Like almost everything she made her. And just wonderful woman. Just always going above and beyond for the missionaries. It was always a blessing to go and get a nice meal on Sunday after church. She lived out in Rangemouth, I think, is the area.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds right. They didn't like
Yeah,
me in that way very much, but
Oh, did they not?
I followed
Yeah,
I followed Elder Pattenden Sr. into there, and he had 9
Oh,
people
okay.
committed for baptism when I came in, and 2 of them got baptized, but
Oh, okay.
the other 7 didn't, and the branch there thought that I was the worst missionary ever.
That's rude.
And
I know.
Oh, jeez.
it was.
I also got.
I
There's a lot of good people though in that. I agree with you. Like a lot of priesthood brethren in that ward or branch, and it was just a branch. So
yeah. There was the Irvines, and the McCormick family, and then I can't remember all of them. And the branch president, Matt, I think is his name, or that's who it was when I was there. He's a great guy. And yeah, it was. They had a lot of good people there, and I don't know. I really enjoyed my time in Fall Creek. It was a bonny place, as they'd say. But yeah, it was. I don't know. It was. And I don't know how you got blessed with so many cars, Zach. But I only had our Broth and then that little stint in Inverness. And I don't think I had. I think I had a car for my last 6 weeks on my mission. That was it. It was bus, trains, or
You probably had
I had to
one of those. You had one of those red dots on your missionary profile that said he crashed a car. Don't give him another one.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had a bike. I remember riding that bike, and the first thing I did when I got that bike in Inverness is I went and bought a new seat because that seat was narrow. We'll say the words for my fat butt. It was way too narrow. I had to get a big old grandma seat because and I should have carried it with me because the Johnston had bikes too, and that was awful. Should have took the seat with me, but I left it there.
And I shared in my experience. Elder Ballack wanted to walk, and so we had, from what I was told, brand new bikes when I was there. So this is in like October of 2005. So right when you came into the mission, and we never touched them. And I was like, why don't we ride the bikes? Oh, no, I just want to walk. Okay. So you probably had newer bikes because I didn't beat them up. Somebody else might have, but not me.
They were, and Inverness had new bikes, but I mean, I get where maybe Elder Ballack from, like, when riding the bikes, it was, I mean, you're always sweaty, even if it's freezing outside, but on top of that, the back tire always threw mud all over your suit or your shirt. So
they were not. They were not well equipped. It's true.
Well, and it's like, when was ever there a dry moment in Scotland? So you're always getting wet with water or mud or something. It's always raining down on you. But but in Falkirk we walked everywhere and rode the bus. But so I had Elder John Churko, and then Elder Schneider for 3 months after 3 months with Elder Churko, and then after Falkirk I got moved to Glenrothes. So
hey, me too.
Kirkcaldy Ward, but it was Glenrothes. Yeah.
Those are my last 2 areas.
Oh, okay. All right.
I went from Falkirk to Glenrothes and finished out there.
Nice. Nice. And I
You
had
guys are like shadows of each other.
I know.
yeah. Right. In Glen Rothes, it was I was only there for 6 weeks, and it was bikes as well, but we never used them. I was with Elder Stoddard, which
Okay.
I found out he is kind of family almost. He's my aunt's nephew, but yeah, so
Oh wow.
it's not my cousin, it's on her side. It's on her side. So yeah, that was interesting to find out. On top of the fact I'm cousins with Elder Marcus McBride, so it's kind of weird to have people that are somewhat related to, or in a way, in the same mission. But yeah, so I was there with
a question about that house. So when I was in Glen Rothes, my last task in the mission was to find a new place for the missionaries to live there. And I found the place for them to live.
Mm-hmm.
We closed down our flat, but then we weren't allowed to move into the new place, so I never actually lived there. But there were some inappropriate pictures on the wall of the fully furnished apartment. Did those get taken down before the missionaries moved in? They're not there when you moved in? Just want to make
they
sure.
must have, because they weren't there. They weren't there when I was there.
Oh, good.
Yeah. When it was it was a flat with a garage, because that's where we stored the bikes. Was in the garage. And I don't think we ever used them. Stoddard just preferred to walk, and that was fine with me. But I was only there for 6 weeks, and that was probably one of the places I had a bad experience. So I had there for 6 weeks because I had a new member that didn't like me, so he threatened me. So I got moved out after the 6 weeks. So
hang on, is there a reason why he didn't like you?
I don't know exactly. I was.
Did you threaten to beat him up or something?
Told, no, I don't know. I guess I offended him somehow. I'm not sure. I guess there was a ward party, and I didn't. I guess something, and I don't know. That's just what I was getting from my companion. I didn't. The next time I saw him, and when I introduced myself to him, he said he's going to kill me. So I don't know.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, it was the weirdest. It was the weirdest. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing ever, and it was just. And it's too bad because Glen Rothes was a good area. The ward for karate. We weren't overly successful there, but I felt like things probably could have went pretty well for us. They Elder Stewart, and I think Elder Clark is the one that brought that guy in. And as soon as after they baptized him, he never showed up. And then the next time I saw him, when I saw him at a church, that's what happened. I went to introduce myself, and he threatened me. So whatever, I don't know. Yes, but yeah. So that's probably the only ones I think I really had anywhere. But after Glen Rothes, I was transferred then to Cumbernauld, which was my last area, and that's where I stayed for 4.5 months. And I was there with an Elder Smith for three of those months, and then Elder Halford, Tobias, who was the district leader for the last 6 weeks. He was the district leader, and I was just the trunky missionary. At that point.
I served there as well.
And Cumbernauld, yeah,
Yeah.
you were there as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed the ward there. Terrible design for a city, as Jack probably knows. It wasn't it voted like the ugliest city in Great Britain.
It's yeah, in my podcast I said second ugliest in Europe, so it's up there.
Yeah.
Jeez
As
Louise.
yeah, it has they copied the Luxor from Vegas and placed it in the middle of the town. And I think it was some, I want to say some church, but I'm not sure what the church was. But just a terrible design for a town. But to be honest, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the concept was they tried to design a town. It was supposed to be like a new futuristic town where pedestrian and vehicle traffic never took the same path. Like they were designed to get to places differently. But as a missionary, when you're looking for an address, you can forget about it. Like you might know the neighborhood it's in, and you better just walk in that direction and hope you find the house number, because they're not in order, and the walking paths do not go with the streets. So,
My word.
Yeah, but despite, I remember there's a whole museum or something on that. I think it was run somewhere by the library. But
it's about the
talk
failure.
about the whole town and what was designed the way it was. Yeah. Yeah. But I had the most success in Cumbernauld. I joined Elder Smith when I got there, and we baptized a young woman, and her mom was less active, but she was like 18 or something like that. I'm not sure exactly her age, but they were teaching her when I showed up, and then so we continued to teach her, and then we baptized her, and then we met a man named Anthony Azimba, and he was from Nigeria and living in Cumbernauld, and so we got him baptized as well, and he joined the church. And then we met a mother, a single mom with a daughter that was 9, and she had a sister that lived nearby, and she was also a single mom. She had 2 kids, but they were like 5 and 3 or something like that. And we taught them. Pretty sure me and Smith started teaching them, but me and Smith baptized Anthony Azimba, and then when Tobias Elder Halford came in, me and him baptized the 2 sisters, Fiona and trying to think of the other sister's name, Jackie, and I can't remember the daughter's name at the moment. Drawing a blank. But yeah, so we had, let's see, 5 baptisms within about 3 months.
That's awesome.
4 months, something like that. So
that's not just awesome. That's unbelievable. I mean, way to go.
I was there for 6 months and probably taught 2 second lessons. So,
yeah,
great. That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was great. I think it went really well, and it was. And surprisingly, we found those people knocking on doors. Not the first one. I think her name was Nolan. Probably wrong there. With the less active mother. I think we're checking on. I think they were just checking on less actives, but when they found her, but we found Anthony and Fiona and Jackie, and we found them just knocking on doors, which is like almost unheard of. Seems like for bringing people into the church, especially in Scotland. But yeah, so and that's basically where my success, well, if you want to call it, where it happened. Like, I mean, I feel like it was all success in a way, as far as like just the work itself, but seeing the fruits of your labor, I guess, is where what happened for me was in Cumbernauld.
Was Bishop Feet still the bishop there?
Yeah, from Shetland.
He had 2 teenage sons, at least when I was there. They might have gone off.
Oh, okay. Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah, the Feet family. Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah. It was he wasn't the bishop at the time. It was they just changed to a new bishop, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he was from Shetland.
Okay.
But yeah, the Feet family, they lived Linda and I remember the mom being, and then they lived near the McGregors. I can't think of that town they lived in. But it wasn't in Cumbernauld, it was outside. It was kind of closer to Glasgow or something like that. But that was, yeah, and they were a great family too. I really enjoyed that family, the Feet family. The McGregors are great. The Goddards, great family as well. And yeah, Cumbernauld got some great people in it. Really, really good ward. But it was one of the 2 wards I served in that got smashed up, which was kind of sad. You showed up on church on Sunday and the building's windows are broken in and it's just all beat up. Like Livingston, that happened in Livingston, my first area. We showed up at church and all the windows were broken. And then that happened in Cumbernauld. There was only 2 areas, my first and my last. It was just the church was vandalized. It's just, I don't know, it just shows the difference of like here versus another place there. It's just not like that. It seems like here, but
there are definitely some rough areas. Some rough areas in Cumbernauld, and actually, when I was there,
yeah,
the building was being renovated, so I only met in the building one time, and then the rest of the time we met at Cumbernauld High School.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, okay. That was kind of I don't know, a shock to me is showing up to church and it was all fenced in and gated off and locked up versus growing up here, just totally different. But as I've been to churches and temples across the world, it seems to be the standard. It just seems to be stateside. It's not.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I mean, it's very much just a cultural thing, right? I mean, people that are in the church understand the culture of where they live, and if they're like, hey, there's a higher chance that somebody might throw something through a window or park a car and take everything we've got out of here, or for whatever reason. I mean, it doesn't sound logical to me, but somebody might do that, then it's always better to be safe than sorry. I mean, I always laughed at the fact that the parking lot at the Aberdeen Stake Center had a big old gate and a lock, but then you walk up to the building and you could walk straight to the building from the street. And I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I guess it did to whoever built the building.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that I think about it, I remember there was a small gate on the parking lot in Montrose, if you remember that. Like, I thought that building was in like the safest of areas within Montrose, and there was still a gate on the parking lot at least. So I guess it could happen
Yeah.
anywhere. It just depends on where one person is running around with a brick in their hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it was yeah, for sure. Like I think the only place was at that was Inverness that really didn't have a
Yeah.
big old iron gate or fenced off around the whole building.
Yep.
But yeah, it was. But I don't know. Every area I felt like was good. I I was blessed to serve with the companions I served with. I feel like I learned something from all of them. I feel like I learned something in every area I went to.
Brandyn, what's something you learned from your mission that you feel like really you've carried since then that's helped, direct the path of your life since your mission?
I feel like probably the one thing that has helped me, or at least something I've felt like has been beneficial, is just being honest, just being straightforward with people, and honest, and just to have that integrity. I feel like that's something I learned there, and that I just feel like it's been really a good thing to have that just strict honesty, and and because I feel like the Scottish people, as brutal as it was, very front and straight with you, and sometimes it might come off as rude or something like that, but it just lets you know where they stand, and they weren't sugarcoating it.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean,
It really comes down, like you said, to that was a cultural thing for them. They're not gonna skirt anything to save your feelings. They're gonna tell you how it is, and they don't give any rhyme or reason to it. It's just that was kind of the forthrightness that we learned to deal with, and it's true. I mean, you knew exactly how people felt about you the minute that you met them because they spoke it. They didn't keep it to themselves more often than not.
yeah, and I get that it's kind of forward, but it really did. It just spoke to true volumes of who they are as a people, and just if they didn't like you, they told you. But if they liked you, they definitely told you that too, and they told you how much they appreciated you and how much they cared about you, and they just didn't leave it open to speculation. And I think it's good. I find it a good trait that they had.
You learned that honesty was a good thing when Elder Hewlett couldn't figure out how to be honest with you. That I couldn't deal with you until our that companionship inventory.
Yeah. Companionship inventory. Oh man, those are always fun. All right.
Some of my favorite memories of you, Brandyn, was I remember very, very vividly sitting on one of the couches in our apartment, and oftentimes you would come out after prep and shave, showering and things, and you still walked around the house with your duvet, and then you'd sit on the couch, just completely like just a little head sticking out of it, and and I'm like, what are you doing? I just want to be warm. Just that was one of the things that you did that I thought I like to have my bed like neatly made. I never took my bedding off, and you just you had it all over the apartment. I was like, all right, that's cool. So
I think I may have a picture of you, Zach, with your duvet sitting in our apartment wrapped up.
well, Peterhead was not our broth. I can tell you that. Sheesh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
The other question I have for you, Brandon, is so obviously tell us about your impressions and thoughts when you think of the Vriens, and tell us about how much you loved Sister Vriens' nickname that she gave you.
Oh, I thought that might come up. So I hairstyle, and I mean, I'll answer your first question. So the Vriens, they're wonderful people. Love them to death. I think President Vriens taught me just more than I can even explain right now. And Sister Vriens reminded me a lot of my own grandma, and so she was just a wonderful, great person. And so they were just together. They were just great, and I'm very grateful that I was able to have them as my mission president couple, and to have them being able to be steward over me, I guess, and coach me through whatever issue I had or anything I needed. So I'm very grateful for them. That you can kind of see, but that picture right there is Pratt Hill in Scotland, and Elder and Sister Vriens, they presented me that on my wedding day, and or Arthur's Seat, as it's called. They brought that and presented that to me as a wedding gift. So I thought that was really nice of them to do, and it has a little inscription on the back of it. I'd have to go look at it to read all of it, but yeah, it was great to have them. But to answer your other question, so I had served in Livingston for probably about 2 or 3, probably 2 months or something like that. But I guess I got to back up a little bit. But when I was in the MTC, I had my comb over was too long, according to the stylist, and so she cut it
over.
Yeah, and she cut it, and it wouldn't stay down. So I kind of had spiky hair, and so when I got, and it was short, so I kept it short and nice. But when I got to Livingston, I went too long without a haircut, and so it became quite long, and I probably had 3-4-inch spikes coming off the top of my head. I remember going to my first zone conference, and she's like, "Oh, Porky," and like just pat me on the head. And ever since then, she called me Porky, and she still has to this day. Every time I see her, she calls me Porky. And
oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And then I think President Vriens pulled me aside and told me to get a haircut. Because I'd gone way too long with that one, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure that haircut was the one that I gave you, and I completely destroyed your hair. Which
yeah, you you did give me a haircut, and I think a lot of my hair. I don't think I ever paid for any of them. It was just too easy.
I mean, honestly, you could have gotten away with a number one, just shave it all off, and nobody would have said boo to you. But that time of life, it was like, if you're a missionary, you got to have a hard part in your hair. And then,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that brought us more of the spirit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect obedience. But
Right.
yeah, I remember very specifically. We were sitting in the foyer in the Montrose Ward because I cut your hair on Saturday night. I went to church the next day, and you were looking at yourself in the reflection of the picture in the foyer, and you're like, "My gosh, this looks so bad. You've got to fix this." And I'm sitting there. I was mortified because I was like, I tried really hard, but I did a very poor job. And so for that, I apologize that you had to have one day until I fixed it. But my gosh, that was so funny.
No, it's all good. It it's just hair. But for whatever reason, even to this day, my hair does not part unless it's a good length. And just back then, they didn't want you to have it that long, and they wanted it short, and mine did not part when it was short. So, but
We should have set the trend and shaved a part into your hair, and then Sister Vriens would have been like, "Oh, well done, Elder King. Well done. Still a little spiky."
It's kind of funny that's kind of was the trend like not too long ago. Is you just shaved a part into your head.
Oh, it's still a thing. You're right. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly how I have it now.
There you go. I got the same thing somewhere in here. It's shaved in there.
There you go.
Me too. You just can't see.
Yeah.
Jax is a perfect skin. He's got that part.
I'm bald.
He's picked that thing right in there.
He's getting blessed more than the rest of us, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, Brandyn, we appreciate you coming on. As far as like just missionaries from your mission, besides those that you served with, is there anyone else that you're interested in us trying to get in touch with and to have on the podcast? Because I'm all ears. We have a pretty good list going, and the time frame that we've already covered. I mean, once this podcast comes out, you'll see, but we've already had an elder from 2002. I think you're probably the latest of missionaries so far at ending in October of 2007. So, I mean, it's a pretty broad group, but we're open to all conversations because in some way, like you just talked with Jack, he served in 3 areas you were in, and that's the cool thing is you can be reminded of some of those things. So any of your missionaries that you were around that you'd like to hear from, we'll jot down and reach out to them and say that Elder King wants to hear from you.
All right. Like I mean, unfortunately, some of the ones I'd like to hear from probably, I feel like they would not do this, but I'd still give them a shout out anyway. My family member, Elder McBride, Marcus McBride.
Okay.
Your companion, Elder Stuart Battenden.
Yeah.
I think because I served around him in a couple areas, and he was a great missionary.
Great.
I don't know. There's a lot to some of my companions. Elder McDonald, my trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Elder Black, and Alfred, my last companion.
Okay.
Let's see. And probably another one I haven't been in touch with for a while, Elder Guyman.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he was a really good missionary, great guy.
Agreed. Great singing voice.
Yeah, but and I'm sure that both of you probably maybe agree, but it's just I don't know. I feel like the mission was probably the greatest. And it's maybe cliche or whatever, but it was. It really was the greatest 2 years of my life, and I feel like it was probably the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Probably besides the fact of just becoming a father. Those are probably the two greatest things that's happened to me in my life. Despite anything else that I've done or any accomplishments I've had, I'd say those two things. It's been amazing.
I agree 100%. It's the one thing that Jack and I have discussed with others that we've talked to and will continue to reiterate is that we were really a fortunate bunch to have been able to serve in a land like Scotland. I mean, not many people get that opportunity, and more I go throughout my life and the more interactions I have with people that have served missions, I mean, it is, it's few and far between as far as people who got to serve in that amazing land. And, like you've mentioned, Jack and I both agree that people there are just salt of the earth, cream of the crop people. Despite some of our challenges and the people that, we either taught or the Neds asking us for fags and all sorts of things on the road. Nonetheless, I mean, the people that saw us for who we were in our our calling truly treated us as if we were the representatives of the Savior as we walked amongst them. And so I agree. It's amazing that I think that's truly what Jack and I are trying to do with this podcast too, is to say, hey, it may not ever be the Scotland Edinburgh mission ever again, with the fact that it's now the Scotland Ireland mission. And I feel like we're a very unique group that had an opportunity to do that. And for that, we will forever be blessed because we got to go back to the homeland of many of our ancestors and people who really set the table with the gospel in our own lives. For those of us that have been in the church for a long time or even have converted, I mean, it was a really cool experience, and for that, we're all blessed on a daily basis. So I can completely agree with you. I have to say, I'm a little jealous that the Vriens didn't give me a better wedding gift. You must have been one of their favorites.
It was probably from the it was probably from the harassment of calling me Porky for my entire mission. Because it stuck. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it was. I'm very appreciative of them and their support of me when I was there.
That's great.
No, that's awesome.
Thanks for being on, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks I really appreciate you having me. I appreciate you considering having me on and appreciate you guys doing this for one. It's awesome.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed it thus far, and it's still crazy to think that we're kind of in the infancy of all of this, but I've connected with people I haven't talked to in 15, 20 years, and that's the coolest part, is that we have the ability to do that. Thank the good people at Facebook for their messenger app, connecting with tons of people, and I don't have everybody's emails anymore, so it's got to come some way, and so thankfully that's been a good medium that we've utilized. So but we're going to keep on rolling with these. If you have been called out by Brandon, you've heard your name, we'd love to have you on the podcast. You can send us an email at S.E.M podcast at 51spylaw.com, or you can go to our website, 51spylaw.com, and fill out a contact form to get in touch with Jack and myself, and we can get you on our upcoming schedule. So Thanks again, Brandon. We appreciate you. Thank you for being our brother in Scotland, and we love you and hope that we'll connect again very soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon. Have a good night, buddy.
You too.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.